Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Thank you for accepting this interview and being with us here today.
It's my pleasure to be with you all.
You have devoted your life to the development of spiritual technologies and expanding consciousness and understanding all of this.
Yes.
I don't know how to put it because it's so big. It appears so big.
Yes. And yet, it's right in the center of us. You know, it's easy to get to.
You have devoted your life to this. You have done years and years and years of research, of participation, of lectures, of workshops, of writing books. How did this evolve? How did your research evolve? Did you come to some new conclusion? Is it simpler now for you?
I think absolutely life makes all of our conclusions more simple as we go along because we see the hologram. We see how an experience is connected to a purpose. And as we begin to chart that, and of course I've always used humanity and nature as my scientific lab, as we connect all those dots, we see those reference points, we see the matrix. And within that matrix are each of us individually and all of us collectively. And so we think of it as so complex, but in truth, it's actually fairly simple.
I know you wrote recently a book called The Evolution of God.
Yes.
What are you saying in this book?
Really, what I'm saying is that I'm taking us back to primordial times. How did we come up with the concept of God? How did we feel about God? How did we find the name? And in the beginning times, it all had to do with the fear of this great force. And then as time went on, we began to personalize it, to say, well, God has to be like a human. And then we began to develop ways of controlling the masses. We developed religion, etc., so that we could personalize that relationship. And what I'm saying in that book is it's time now to release the fear angle and allow God to evolve. Our children and our children's children will travel into the universe. And as they do, they'll come back with a different perspective. And so it's time to open that up so we can get the truly beautiful divine messages that have come from across the ethers that belong to us, that we are divine, that we are a part of something that's that allows us to perform miracles ourselves, so that we can have a positive relationship to our own divinity and feel that energy inside us, rather than something looming over us and watching to see if we're going to make a mistake. It's time to let that go. We're not children anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people became then crossed with God because they mixed the religious, I guess, paradigm.
Yes. That's right. And if we could expand that and see that there is God in the trees and the animals and in each other, we would be able to experience that divinity from a perspective that allows us to participate rather than cowering in fear and being angry at something that has nothing to do with absolute truth. So it's an expansion of consciousness that we're ready for, that we're mature as a species to accept now. It's very exciting and it's very positive.
So it's our view of God that is evolving, not God itself. Or is God changing as we're allowing him to fully be who he is?
There's that him that comes in.
Yeah, there's a him. I heard that. I'm like him, her, it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, of course, the divine, in the book, I call it the divine source, so as to remove that angle of the male human type God and expand our relationship to the divine. So I say the divine source. We must evolve in our perspective of the divine, but also the entire universe is evolving. There is nothing in the cosmos that doesn't evolve. So the divine force itself is evolving. That's what makes it exciting. And so as we expand and and remove the parts that don't fit the modern world or the future, then we can really begin to see a broader perspective of how we can relate to a divine source.
So is God nothing but love?
It's nothing but love. But you know, we have a very limited concept of love. You know, the Christian view came from Jesus the Christ. That was his message. And 2,000 years later, we have not really explored the meaning of that. And so as we expand into a more cosmic view, we can feel that love rather than a personal energy that says God loves me or God does not love me, into an energetic that we can relate to and pass on. That it's not so personal, it's not about whether you're good or not, you know. It's an energy of embracing life, embracing our part in the universe. And that can change the way we live our lives and can be very, very practical. And I think it's important to take ourselves away from the study of it. You know, I had to read all of the great books to do the evolution of God. They have gems in them that can inspire the way we live. And they also have many concepts that do not fit our world, our global family, our capacity to realize that love is not sacrifice your son to God to show your love. That we don't have to buy and sell in love. Not in our relationships with each other, and certainly not in our relationship to the source of the cosmos.
Do we have to go beyond those, the Bible and the Quran and all that, to fully immerse ourselves in life and really practice that? Is that what you're saying? Really live those words instead of studying?
That's right, and I have a whole chapter in that book exploring that concept, that conversation. That is it not time for us to really experience and practice? What if we practice doing miracles? What if we practice the most profound aspect of love? Love without condition, love without judgment, love that just embraces. That's a whole new way to live. And I think that we could be ready for that if we weren't so afraid that we would not survive. One of the points in that book is it is time in our own evolution to expand in such a way that we let go of the concept we only have one life and we have to survive our arguments, we have to survive in our body. No, it's time for us to become the givers and to focus on what do I have to offer life? How can I be the one that gives love or amplifies the potential? That's when we come to a new octave of what it is to be human, to be a soul, a cosmic soul, having a human experience. We're ready.
It's like there is a healing that needs to take place also to allow this, isn't there?
And the only way we can have that healing is when we begin to remove from our cellular memory the negative imprints that we have had. You know, that life is a struggle, that to be human is somehow poisonous or disgusting, that it isn't precious and divine. So indeed, we need to reshape all of our thought forms. And we can do that using the technology of consciousness. For example, if you were to ask yourself, your own body, from whom did you inherit the imprint that humanity is negative, that human form is somehow not divine, and then release that, you would automatically begin to feel better about yourself and to feel that you have the right to perform miracles, to embrace life and to embrace the divine. So we have to use these new technologies of consciousness that are not difficult. I think that the greatest truth is always very simple. Anyone can embrace it, but it does involve practicing. It involves focusing, asking these questions, and that's why in the Evolution of God book, I wrote down a lot of questions for people to ask themselves and to ask their parents and their grandparents so that we can see what we have inherited. I call that psychogenetics. What have you inherited from your great-great-grandparents about your religion and about other religions that needs to be released so that you can actually expand in such a way that you go beyond the conflict and the limitation of dogma, and you come to a sense of experiencing something, feeling the truth inside yourself, not because someone told it to you.
Is it as part of this evolution, is there a way to also for us now download this energy or release it in much faster way than before, instead of asking ourselves hundreds of questions? Is there a way that we have a more direct connection to